Welcome fans to another edition of Marked Out. I am the Red Scorpion, Mike Martinez, and with Shane McMahon back in the picture in WWE, I thought I'd take a look at 10 of the best moments that Shane McMahon's had throughout the WWE, in my opinion. Starting right off from the beginning was the infamous words, "I now own WCW." And it's when Shane McMahon tricked Vince into signing the contract to purchase WCW back in Panama, Florida, the final edition of Monday Night Show, the 26th of March 2001. He ends up showing up on Nitro in Panama City. WWE was in Cleveland, Ohio on the night for Raw. And tricks Vince McMahon, basically is the one that signed the contract out from underneath his dad, and basically started their big feud. And it culminates in a huge match at WrestleMania. But the very words, "I now own WCW," never thought I'd hear a McMahon ever say that. So Shane gets that. Next was his return to WWE. This one was most recently, actually. This was February 22nd, 2016. It's when he basically showed up out of nowhere when Vince and Stephanie were having their achievement award deal or bullcrap or whatever like that. It was really at a time when WWE was looking for something because they were really sinking, and to bring Shane back into the mix just really screwed all kinds of things up, so it was pretty awesome. Next was when Shane's a referee and he screws Stone Cold Steve Austin out of the WWE title back in the tournament. It was Survivor Series 98, the tournament that The Rock ultimately won because he became part of the corporation. But Shane was a ref at the time, and he wasn't as much as a character as he was going to be or is now. And so it was pretty cool that he actually was the one to screw over Stone Cold Steve Austin out of the title and join the corporation, and it all started, and we all know what happened from there. Pretty awesome moment. Next is when he beats X-Pac for the European Championship thanks to Triple H and Chyna's help, the late Chyna. That was on an episode of Monday Night Raw from February 15th, 1999. It was pretty cool because backstage everyone knew that X-Pac and Shane were pretty good friends from the get-go, but they actually had really good chemistry in the ring, and their match was really off the hook. And for Shane to actually win a championship, a McMahon to win a wrestling championship, it was completely out of the ordinary, out of whack, just not something that you'd ever expect to see. And it happened. And it was during an era or a time when Stephanie would end up winning the women's championship, and Vince at one point won the world championship. So we all remember all that. But Shane will remember his, because his is actually the best. Next was when he returned to WWE once again. This was on an episode of Raw from March 30th, 2009. He joins Vince McMahon and Triple H to take on The Legacy, which was Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase Jr., and Randy Orton. And at a time where Legacy was kind of just beating everybody up, Vince and Triple H really needed some backup, and that backup came in the form of Shane McMahon. It was pretty awesome at that time. Next on the list was from Unforgiven 03. It was during the Kane-Shane McMahon feud, and their matches were pretty brutal, to say the least, and I remember at one point during this Unforgiven matchup where Shane was basically hanging on the outside of the pole, and Kane hooks up a battery and then charges Shane's testicles to it and shocks the shit out of him. One of those things you never see again, and one of those things you never thought you'd ever see, and probably never really wanted to see. Shane took it. And next on the list was the 50-foot drop onto the platform underneath next to the ring entrance where he was wrestling Steve Blackman in a hardcore match. That was SummerSlam 2000. He goes all the way up to the top, and then they're having their match and everything like that, and then just boom, out of nowhere, 50-foot, boom, into the platform. It was unbelievable, and Shane, again, one of the first people to ever do something like that. It was pretty devastating. Well, with the exception of Mankind in Hell in the Cell, of course. Next was the belly-to-belly into the glass that didn't break, and then did break at King of the Ring 2001 versus Kurt Angle. You talk about a sick bump. Kurt Angle belly-to-bellies him into the glass setting, which was the King of the Ring setting behind him, or where the ring entrance was, and the glass doesn't break. So Shane front flips forward into the glass, falls straight onto his neck because there was no give through the glass. And then, not only was that a sick bump, they try it again. Of course, the second time the glass shatters and he goes through it, and it's like, oh my God, craziest thing I've ever seen. And once again, Shane McMahon was at the center of all of that. Next was Vince versus Shane, WrestleMania X7. We talked about this at the beginning of this show. It was when their match finally culminated, their anger finally culminated, everything came to an end. It was WCW versus WWE. And one of the sickest things in the match was a move that RVD had created in ECW. It was called Coast to Coast, where Shane was on the top of one set of ropes and jumped all the way to the opposite side of the ring and smashed a trash can into Vince McMahon's face. And ultimately, who can forever forget that moment in that match? That's definitely one of the best. And again, Shane McMahon pulls off another one. Finally on the list, and this one relatively recent, WrestleMania 32, it was his match versus The Undertaker, Hell in the Cell. He climbs up to the top of the cell. What does Shane McMahon think he's going to do? How about jump off clear 25, 30 feet, whatever it was, down below, drop an elbow on Undertaker, who happens to move. He hits the table, thank God, and basically collapses himself. Somehow, Undertaker brings him back into the ring, beats him, and then at the end of the match, they take Shane out on a stretcher and everything, and he's able to lift up his thumb and let everyone know he's okay somehow, some way. Again, another sick bump, and who else but Shane McMahon. So Shane's influence in WWE been astronomically crazy. He's done some crazy things. He's won some championships. He's had some high spots and some high moments, and it's a pretty cool thing to see Shane back in WWE because he's definitely somebody that makes the show a lot more interesting. So that was my top 10 list of Marked Out this time. I hope you marked out for him. We'll see you next time around. The Spin, the Red Scorpion, Mike Martinez.